We are gathered here today for the execution of prisoner Matt for the crime of blasphemy against our Lord. He has been given his final meal of pad thai with a lovely side of crab rangoon and a little bit of sweet and sour sauce on the side. I think there might have been dumplings too. Anyways, Prisoner Matt, do you have any final words?
Yeah. I think I'm getting a call.
Yes.
Mind if I check and see who it is?
Sure.
Oh, it's the governor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's the governor.
Too
He wants
late.
to talk to you. Ah!
Hi, and welcome to Neckbeard Nation, the show where we talk about neckbeard stuff from an atheist viewpoint. I am Buck the Fat Fuck. This is the Man in the Hat. He's coming back. That is my goblet of pop. That is the hat of the day. And today, we are talking about killing people. Specifically, capital punishment. Capital punishment, of course, goes back as long as the human record shows, and perhaps even farther than that, back to ancient Egyptian, Mesopotamian times, and perhaps even all the way back to our African roots, because there was always somebody doing something we didn't like, and we found a way to off them. So the first methods were generally had to do with stoning, and for stoning you had a lot of biblical references, and for some thoughts on biblical stoning and other stone-like things in general, we go to our resident stoner, Matt.
Oh, yeah, I used to get stoned all the time, man, when I was a teenager. But
Yeah.
not anymore. You know. It's
What's
not
that
so
like?
easy in Massachusetts. Maybe if we're in Colorado.
What's that like being stoned? Is that fun?
It all depends on what type of pot you get, but
Okay.
it's not, I don't find it fun anymore. It just gives me panic attacks, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably a lot funner than getting fucking bludgeoned with rocks.
Yeah, that's an interesting contradiction of terms. So, like in the beginning of the Bible, and say Leviticus, there's all sorts of stuff you get stoned for. Stoned for being gay.
Mixing linens, was it?
Mixing linens.
Yeah. Striking your parent.
Yeah, being an unruly child to get you stoned to death.
Don't they take you to the like edge of town or to the center of town?
Yeah.
Or what was it?
Yes, I think it's center.
Designated fucking murder pit.
Off to the murder pit with you. Why? Well, we'll see when we get there. Murder, of course. So, we started there, and of course, back in the old times, you got offed for pretty much anything. And as time progressed, we got a little bit more barbarous with our executions. And one of those methods is now a symbol of Christianity, the crucifix.
Yeah.
You take a guy, you put some nails in him to a piece of wood, and you have him bleed and bake to death in the sun. So that's fun.
Yeah, I heard that they would do it like out into the entrance of the city, so everybody would see you. Mm-hmm. I guess that's pretty crazy, but
yeah, it's very Dracula-like.
Yeah, Vlad the Impaler. It's pretty intense stuff there. I wonder if he had a religious motive or not.
No, I just
think he was just crazy, right?
No, I think it's because he was fighting the Ottomans, and Wallachia is kind of border ground, hard territory to hold. Transylvania, that area.
So yeah, we're skipping around. So
yes, we
are.
As
far as crucifixion goes, I always remember this scene from one of the Conan movies where he's tied to the tree and the buzzard's pecking him, and then he bites the buzzard.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see that?
No.
Oh, it's awesome. He's basically crucified on a tree. I actually read it in one of the books too. That same scene. It was pretty cool to see it portrayed in the movie as well. But I don't know. It was just kind of just like the Jesus crucifixion, but a buzzard comes along and starts pecking at him, and he bites it and like rips it down. That'd be pretty cool if Jesus did that, I guess.
I don't know. I think of Life of Brian when I think of...
oh, yeah. At the end when they're all up there and like... Yeah. What was there, like a Jewish couple who was like... I forget what they were talking about, but...
Yeah.
Didn't they like start singing? Or, I don't know.
They did. Yes, they did. So, that probably not the most common, but it's certainly one of the most well-known execution methods. Obviously, things like beheadings are more common, but you didn't really ever hear as much about that because that's not the big Jesus-y story.
Yeah. And it probably wasn't as much grandeur in a beheading. They probably just dragged you off down the block and cut your head off, is where that was more of a spectacle, the crucifixions, maybe.
Yes, often the murder pit.
Yeah.
That murder pit's, big part of the city back then.
That was like a traffic court or something.
Yeah.
The other one's like a grand jury or something.
I got a ticket and I have to go down to the murder pit.
Get my head cut off.
Anyways, we move our chronology forward to the Middle Ages, where we have some new, interesting forms of killing people. Things like the rack.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, where do you draw the line between a torture device and a execution device? 'Cause, I mean, I guess all torture devices will essentially lead to a death if you keep going, you know? But,
sure, and, that's interesting to think of it that way, because, a lot of people did die on the rack because they just snapped them apart. Yeah. But, I guess it counts. It counts for our purposes.
Oh no, I always think of like the guillotine or hanging. That's a good point that you bring up. Is the other torture devices were essentially execution devices. Is just even worse of an execution device, not very quick death.
Yes, other methods common in that time period, things like burning of the witches at the stake. Hanging, as you had mentioned, got its starts around then.
Executioner chopping off the head.
At the execution block.
That's pretty cool. I've heard a little bit about executioners. Like, I don't know. You probably know a little bit about it, but it was like they were paid pretty well, I guess. Yes. And they wore the mask so people in the community wouldn't recognize them.
Yes.
And then the person getting executed could pay him a little bit extra to make sure they did a clean job, so they died swiftly, and it's pretty cool to look into. And
and it's the same concept for the hangman. So you have the right length of rope, so you don't get beheaded or just sit there choking to death. Right, that sweet spot.
Yeah, we were watching a show on that the other day. How with the length of the rope, how there's like They try to develop a science around it based on your weight. And like different countries have different standards for this weight graph of like how much rope to use for different weights. And every one of them's different. So it's like
absolutely. So, we had different sorts of executions for different people. Starts with that sort of idea that you could pay for a better execution. And as time goes on, different penalties of capital punishment will be given to different crimes. As apparently there are better and worse ways to die.
Really, yeah. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, because burning at the stake was reserved for witches and heretics.
Someone like us.
Yeah, we'd be burned at the stake. And you go a little later on to England, you have drawing and quartering.
Oh, that's what the horses.
The horses take each of the limbs of someone and just rip them apart, and they had very, very elaborate executions, as they would just rip the guts out of people still alive.
I'm just being reminded of the Braveheart movie, the murder scene at the end. Did you see that?
Ooh.
It's pretty gruesome. They ripped his guts out and
stuff. Well,
we yell freedom.
It reminds us that it's not only sort of Western society that had capital punishment, because we all remember the Aztecs on top of their pyramids ripping people's hearts out alive.
Yeah. Was that a religious ceremony, or was it a death penalty?
Well, it was a religious ceremony, which is an interesting thing, because it's the state killing somebody, but it's not really a punishment.
Huh.
But it could.
Was it an honor to die that way? Or was
it was more of an obligation.
I thought I heard that some of them were captured war.
Yeah, there was some of that too. Yeah. A lot of the people who would be slaves in Western society were had their hearts ripped out as sacrifice in this manner.
But the good ones were like the what was it, young men or something?
I think they wanted virgins.
Oh, virgins, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know too much about it, but
yeah. Well, so
I wonder what type. I mean, they must have had capital punishment as well. I wonder if they would have used prisoners for that.
Yeah, they would have.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. And so the tale at the beginning is quite a gruesome one until we get to about the French Revolution, and they think, let's have a nicer way of killing people, and that's the guillotine. And Mr. Guillotine himself had made this lovely contraption with the blade falling from several meters in the air, chopping the head off nice and clean perfectly every time. How humanitarian of him. So, that's sort of the beginning of, hey, let's find a way of doing this that sucks less.
Yeah, guillotines are a really cool feat of engineering, They're cool to look at, and just... It's funny, though, I'm reminded of that saying that goes around in the atheist world, like, what if Christ was murdered with any other implement, like a guillotine or a noose? Would people be wearing that around their necks?
Yeah,
it's like they just so happens to be that it's like a cross, It's like it's kind of
weird. It really adds to the idea of Jesus as a myth. It's just too perfect, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, why did they choose a cross? Why didn't they choose the spear that stabbed them? I mean,
they could have done all sorts of things.
It just happens to be that they wanted a nice, clean looking symbol. Like, it's branding, It's like modern day branding.
Yeah, our guy got killed like this. Isn't that something? I'm like, good for you. So you get from that point into the sort of World War II era. You have gas chambers.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, of course, my people were put in those a lot. Yes. Oh, well. Yeah. The Holocaust. But it was used, even here in the U.S. for various capital punishments at the time.
Yeah. I heard they would tell them that they were showers, and then they would go in there and lock the door, and then fucking... That's horrible, man.
Yes. Although I'm not sure how many of them actually believe that.
Yeah, I'm sure the word got around. Like, anybody who goes and takes a shower doesn't come back. Maybe you guys don't want to take a shower,
I don't think that was a choice.
Yeah.
Someone's like, I don't need a shower. Like, no, you're taking a shower.
Oh,
so horrible, man. So, it is, yes. So, from there, we enter some of our more modern methods. We have our electrocution here with our lovely guinea pig mat.
It wasn't so bad, I came back, so...
Yeah, it's a zombie mat. And we have that. We, of course, started around the time Edison executing the elephant.
Yeah. the whole AC/DC battle, which one was going to win out for our infrastructure, and they I think it was Edison wanted to prove that AC was dangerous, so he was going around electrocuting elephants to show how dangerous AC was. I think he did other animals too, but
yes.
The elephant was the most spectacular one. And then he created the electric chair as a supposedly humane execution device, which it was pretty much nothing but. So,
and of course, DC is much worse, which is why I lost.
Well, as far as electrocuting somebody,
yeah,
DC current doesn't want to go through a human being. And it's what causes basically the main killing factor of AC is the changing of the frequencies back and forth at a certain hertz or whatever, at a certain rate. But anyways, with DC it just goes straight through you basically. Like if we were to hold hands and put a DC current through us, the last person in line would feel the current. This doesn't have anything to do with it.
Oh, sure.
But it's kind of cool. I kind of like electricity. Right?
Sure. Awesome. Okay, so we have that, and then we enter into things like firing squads, popular, certainly during the Spanish Civil War. They were a big thing.
I heard that there would be like 5 gunmen, and only one of them would actually, or a couple of them would have bullets, so you wouldn't know if you were the one who actually killed the person.
Yes.
Because it's got to be intense for the person doing the killing, you know what I mean? Especially if you're religious, to think that you're murdering somebody. If you're any bit of a true...
Well, of course, the Bible tells you it's okay to kill people.
Yeah, I mean, it tells you it's okay, and it tells you it's not okay. It's like...
Good work, Bible. You're definitely written by someone omnipotent with things like that. So, we got that sort of thing, and to the modern day lethal injection. And there's often been trouble with the mixing of chemicals, trouble with the personnel involved in it not being up to the task, and it's generally considered the humane way of killing someone these days. But I don't know about that. I don't know if there's a humane way to murder someone. So that's sort of where we've left off.
Well, I guess we should give all the modern examples. I mean, I think they're still using electric chairs, right?
Yes.
So we're still using electric chairs. We're doing lethal injection. I think there might be a couple places that do gas.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, if you go to the third world, there still be.
Oh no, I mean in the United States.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they still use gas. So, and then I guess the prisoner picks which one he wants.
Yeah, that's weird, but it's yucky.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
So you get to that point, and you get to our modern age, where we understand more about life and death than previous generations did, and you get to the point, should we even be doing this in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'd like to touch on what would be the most humane way if we are going to do it.
Sure.
Because I watched a documentary by the BBC, like How to Kill a Human, and they were searching for a humane way to kill human beings. And he looked at like all of them, and he came to the conclusion that hypoxia is the most humane way if you're going to kill a human being.
Right.
Basically, it's starving the brain of oxygen, but in a way that's like not intrude. I don't know what's
not painful.
Yeah, it's not invasive or whatever.
Right.
So it's like he figured out a way that if you just breathe, I think it's an argon and nitrogen mixture. You basically just feel drunk, and after about a few minutes, you pass out, and you just keep breathing it while you're passed out, and you die from oxygen starvation. It's a total like no pain. You feel fine. You feel happy and giddy, and it's like it's a cheap way of doing it. And so he was kind of advocating like we're an advanced civilization. We should be able to find a way to do it that is humane if we're going to be doing it. And he kind of brought this up to some capital punishment advocates, and their argument was, why would we kill them in a humane way. They're murderous criminals. So that leads to, should we be killing people at all? I think, it's...
Yeah, it's attitudes like that are very ancient, that are still out there.
Yeah.
They want revenge, and they're not really interested in the models of criminal justice that have been championed around the world about the rehabilitation of the criminal and things of that sort, and your personal humanity, and not murdering the one who had murdered someone else.
Yeah.
And so, if you look down the list of countries that are murdering, that have capital punishment. I think I'm giving away my position there. That have capital punishment. You will find that, it's us and the Arab world, Africa, places like that.
Yeah.
Places you don't want to be associated with. When it comes to morality, as it is.
Yeah.
And you have Europe, which, is sort of thought of as a little smarter than that, and they do not have it. And you have, the first world countries of the world that have pretty uniformly decided that this isn't for them because it's a bad idea. Because there's all sorts of people who get exonerated later on.
Yeah.
And
I think my main feeling on this, and I think it was Penn Jillette who said it, and I'm pretty sure it was one of the bullshit episodes, it's if you support the death penalty and one wrong person gets murdered or gets put to death, then you're basically a murderer. And it's got to happen. It happens all the time. People are wrongly convicted all the time. So, I mean, things are getting better in that area and forensics and everything, but especially, leading up to, up to now, up in the early 1900s, it's like, there's no way they could have, without a doubt, known that somebody murdered somebody. I mean,
yes.
Well, I guess there is, but
Yeah, it's very rare, and you still don't.
They didn't even have fingerprinting.
People see CSI nowadays, and they think, hey, if someone's murdered someone, they'll have every last possible piece of evidence, and we'll know for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's not how the world works.
Yeah, exactly.
So, just think next time when you're thinking about the death penalty, do I really, really know I'm killing the right people?
Yeah. I actually had a personal experience with that, and our time went off, so we're trying to wrap it up. But I actually served on a jury for a double homicide and attempted homicide. And that's kind of was the eye-opener for me. And that's the same thing that one of the lawyers told us when we first started. He said, listen, this isn't like CSI. There's not going to be a smoking gun. There's not going to be all these fingerprints and blood spatters. He's like, you guys are going to have to, come to your conclusion with the evidence you're given. And to be honest, we weren't given very good evidence, and I didn't really feel comfortable. Looking back now, I'm not sure how comfortable I feel with my decision, but at the time, I wasn't really as,
Oh, there's
I didn't know what I was doing.
There's a lot of juror bias out there. Like, this guy's on trial for murder. Got to be something going on.
Yeah, exactly.
But not necessarily true. So that comment there is our last of the episode. We are certainly enjoying all of you guys following us on the YouTube and the Twitter and the Facebook.
We should probably do some shout-outs.
Shout out to people on the Twitter and the YouTube. Specifics.
Big shout out to Skeptical Muse, or Skeptic Muse, I think it is.
Yes.
He did our music. We're going to have a link under the video. He's awesome. Thank you very much. And shout out to our only fan, Brian, in Alaska, I believe. And hope to talk to you soon, man. And we have some things in the works with a couple other up-and-coming YouTube atheists. Shout out to Belligerent Atheist and Guy in a Wheelchair. We're going to be doing a collaboration thing with them, hopefully. So that should be pretty cool. So watch out for that.
Yeah, so...
Anybody else? We're probably forgetting somebody. I mean, I guess my brother and my friend Mike for helping with the logo.
Right,
and
right.
Mike is at Alphonse 586. Yeah, whatever.
And thank you for watching today. This is Buck, that is Matt, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Thanks, guys. Hashtag Matt's Hats.